We're live.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our Sunday live show. We are Jill and Jerry, the Cruising Canucks.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a topic that is near and dear to us. This has happened to us multiple times in the last few weeks alone. So let's talk about it. It's that time of year to talk a little bit about what happens when cancellations happen to try to mess up your vacation. And we're back, and happy Sunday afternoon, everybody.
Yes, welcome, and thanks for joining us. It's a cold day here, sunny today, but very cold. We were having some dreary no sun days, but at least it was mild. Now we've got the deep freeze here where we are. I'm like trying to warm my hands up after bringing Bruno outside for a little pee break.
I'm Jerry, and this is Jill. We're the Cruising Canucks, and this is our podcast that we do on Sunday afternoons or live if you're watching us live right now on YouTube. But it does turn into a podcast on Monday in case you miss us and you're busy on the weekends. So,
there you go.
And this one's going to be all about different. We're going to do it all. We want to hear about your cancellations and what you did to overcome it, or maybe you didn't. We'll tell you a little bit about ours in the last few weeks that we've had. We've had actually one first thing this morning we woke up, we had another cancellation. So we'll talk about all that type of stuff and how it happens and maybe how to prevent it. I don't know if we're experts yet on that. Obviously, it's still happening to us.
Yeah, exactly. We're definitely not experts because it seems to be happening to us more than ever before, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's a state of the travel industry or whether that's a state of us. I don't know. Hopefully it's not. We've been talking for a long.
I was going to say, I think we had a really good run where, we've had a lot of people say, has this ever happened to you? Has this ever happened to me? And we kept saying, no. And now it seems like it's all happening. Cancellations in the last little while.
Go figure. So. The latest stuff about the Cruising Canucks. So, do you know what's been recent about us? Do you watch the Cruising Canucks?
I've heard of them.
We just finished up all our Seabourn and we transitioned we did a ship tour last week of the Azamara Onward that we were on. Mm-hmm. And we also had our travel day getting down to the port and going out of Miami and showed kind of a boutique South Beach hotel that we enjoyed before we got on the cruise. A nice way to start the cruise. Mm-hmm. So that was last week's content. This week, you're actually going to see us getting on the Azamara Onward, and you're going to see an embarkation day that was fantastic. Don't want to give it all away, but they did it right. I'll leave it there compared to our previous cruise we did on a different cruise line that starts with an S. And and we've been editing, getting the content ready to come out for that series. And it was a really good experience. So hopefully that comes through. I know a lot of people have been commenting saying they can't wait to see the day-by-day vlogs to see how it went.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think. I think it's a vlog series worth watching, in my biased opinion. But if you've never cruised Azamara before, make sure you check them out because it might be a door opening for a new cruise experience. I would highly recommend it, actually.
Yes. And by the way, speaking of Azamara, we don't know what the news is.
We don't.
We had a notification today that came up that said there is an announcement about the Azamara fleet later this week. So I'm guessing that means they're adding ships, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm just guessing. But
that's our prediction.
So we'll see.
So we'll see if we're right with our prediction. We think that they're expanding and getting a few more ships. Hopefully, we're not sure if they're buying ships or getting some
new ones. We're not sure,
and we don't know any of it. We just know to wait for an announcement. But when they tell you that, I guess their media is doing its job because it gets your brain thinking about Azamara and what they could be up to. So we spent a little time this morning brainstorming what we thought the announcement's going to be.
So there you go. So you're going to see us on Azamara. You're going to hear about Azamara in the news. It's going to be all Azamara. So if you never heard of them before, by the end of this week, you'll know all about them.
There you go.
And comment or question of the week. I'm trying to remember what I put in here. It was from Thomas saying that love your videos. Do you not like Norwegian or Royal Caribbean?
We don't recall you ever.
We don't recall you seeing you on a vlog for those. So right. Do you not like Royal and Norwegian?
So I've cruised Royal Caribbean twice, but both before vlogging. And we have cruised Norwegian 6 times.
5 or 6, something like that, yeah.
And we did vlog Norwegian this past May when we took it out of Southampton and went down into the Med from there. Well, we ended in Rome,
yep.
But we did Spain and France and Portugal and that sort of thing. And yeah, we've had great experiences cruising with Norwegian. Royal Caribbean, we've had experiences with them, but not on their mega ships. And so, we've stayed away from those purposely because we know enough about ourselves that we like the smaller ships. So we haven't vlogged the larger ones. We looked at doing it and thought about doing it, and then we sort of looked at each other and thought, that's not really our joy. So, there's a lot of vloggers out there that are vlogging them, and so there's a lot of other channels that do give them coverage. It's just not our cup of tea.
Yep. So we're not ruling out Royal Caribbean as far as doing a small ship, like one of the older ones in their fleet.
That's right.
We've continued to kick that around for the last couple of years. It just hasn't quite fit in, but maybe it will in the next year or two.
Yeah.
And with Norwegian, we also vlogged the Epic in the Mediterranean that we did 7 days on way back. It was 22, I think it was, 3 or 4 years ago. But so the Epic is out there, which is a very, very interesting ship when it comes to cabins. So
yeah. And I'm just seeing a comment came in. Someone just said Royal Caribbean has too many kids. And I was just about to say that exact same thing, that I loved we did a Liberty of the Seas. So that gives you the size of I might tell you a little bit of the size of the ship. So it was 3,000 people or
I think more than that, yeah.
Maybe in between the 3,000 and 4,000, I believe. But we found that there was more children on that cruise ship than any cruise ship we'd ever been on, to the point that the elevators were unusable. We would open the door to our cabin and kids would be laying on the hallway outside of our cabin. So it just wasn't our thing because of that. We loved a lot of other things about it, like some of the shows and their entertainment and the layout of their ship. There was some great things that we enjoyed, but we do think it's a great cruise line for families, and we'll probably cruise with them as our grandchildren get older. I can see taking them on a Royal Caribbean, but just the two of us, not so much.
And good news for you, I forgot to do a trivia question. Yay! So there's no trivia.
You can't embarrass me.
I'll have to make it up on the spot.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What is my favorite snack?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. That was too easy, wasn't it?
Wine gums.
You can't name more than one. You always give more than one
multiple.
answer.
You don't just have one favorite. You have a lot of favorites.
Oh, I don't know what you're saying about me.
Doritos.
Sweet chili heat. Okay, we are here at cancellation time.
Okay.
So it would have been really funny for me to put up like one of those old screens that used to come on the TV channels and broadcasting the other night, just like bars of color, but canceled across it. And then we could have went up and had a snack, the Doritos, wine gums, chocolate.
Already taking the show off the rails.
Okay, cancellations. So we had a cancellation this year. We had believe it or not, now don't get mad at us. We were going to do a little side trip for New Year's.
We thought we were going to be able to go away and not tell anyone.
We weren't going to vlog it. We weren't going to do anything. We were just going to go away and enjoy a few days with some friends, and we were going to have a good time for New Year's. We showed up. Well, let me get back up a little bit. We packed up the car. We headed down the road to go to the airport.
We received an email from the airline 30 minutes before we arrived at the airport saying our flight was on time.
Yep.
We pulled the suitcases into the airport. I went to the little machine to get our boarding passes, and a lady tapped me on the shoulder and she goes, I don't think you're going anywhere. And she pointed to the sign that said canceled for our flight.
Canceled. Yeah, and we're usually really good at tracking our airplanes and knowing what's on time to avoid this type of situation. And there was no hint of it happening. Like our plane was supposed to be coming from Minnesota. It was in Minnesota getting what we thought was getting loaded and ready to go.
It was a nice sunny day where we were. There was no weather in Minnesota. So for us, we thought cleaner sailings ahead or air travel ahead.
Yep.
But no, that did not happen.
But not only that, so it was an interesting time because there were storms in our area for many days. There were people backed up waiting to get on aircraft, and there was no planes to get on. I think actually our local airport in Ontario, Sioux, Ontario, had set a record for like 4 or 5 days in a row of no flights coming in or out. They shut the airport down. It was that bad. So
we were trying to fly to Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan on a Delta flight, which is generally the airport that we fly out of. And we've flown out of it, I don't know how many times, but multiple times Dozens. At this point, and never had a problem. We've never even had so much as
That's not true. We're going to talk about that other problem we had.
Oh, okay. What other problem did we have?
It's okay. Go with our story.
Okay. Anyways, but yeah, so it was just sort of shocking. But the hardest part about it was, as soon as it happened, I was right there dealing with a person, a representative. I was on the phone with a person, and they couldn't get us out of our local airport. We were going away for 6 or 7 nights, and they couldn't get us out for another 4 or 5 days. And anyways, and they wanted to put us on a standby list where there already were hundreds of people. We would drive back and forth to the airport. So, I mean, this is the disadvantage of living so far away from a major airport. We know that we run our risk of this happening, and so we've been fortunate, but not this time.
We could have worked around it if the weather was a little bit better, but because, as we said, it had been storing for days and days, but it finally cleared out. But that didn't mean the highways were in good shape, which has nothing to do with airplanes, I'm sure. But the highways, if you've ever seen Michigan highways, at least in northern Michigan, they do not salt or sand, from what we could tell.
Yeah, it was very funny. We left our house and drove an hour to get to the border, and our highways were bare and dry because they had been salting and sanding the days of the storm earlier in the week. And so we had no problem. And then we crossed into the U.S., and the highways were just a sheet of ice. And so, we had the option of trying to get in the car and do the 7-hour drive around to Detroit.
Detroit's about 5 or 6 hours away, but in the conditions the highway were in, if we made it safely, it was going to be probably an 8 to 10 hour drive. And on top of that, we had to go over the Mackinac Bridge, and it's often closed when it's windy after storms like that. Conditions. So we were worried about the bridge openings and problems there. So, and so we just decided that we just couldn't get to Detroit as much as we wanted to get there and save the trip. It was just a no-go for us.
And fly. But but that's very disappointing. You're all packed up, and especially us living in Northern Ontario, trying to get away from all the snow, and we had bathing suits and capris and running shoes and ideas that we were going to be walking on the beach every day because we were staying with people that lived close to a beach and all of this sort of thing. None of it happened. Instead, we came home and had a very quiet New Year's, just the two of us.
Yeah, we thought we were going to sneak away and not vlog any of it. Usually the cameras are going. We've got a whole suitcase full of gear. We were thinking, we'll just kind of relax, and it's going to be just having a vacation without filming a vacation for a change, which we thought would be a nice break. We didn't get our break, so.
Yeah.
Now, we did have a problem at that airport once before, and this kind of goes to some of the strategies you have to use if you're using a local airport.
That's true. I forgot about that.
We had woke up in the morning. It was like 3 a.m. We're waking up to go to the airport, and we get a notification at 3 a.m. as we're coordinating with friends to get in the car and take our luggage to the airport that our flight had been canceled at 3 a.m. And we were supposed to fly from our local airport down to Detroit. And the Detroit flight was still fine. And it was 6-7 hour drive to Detroit. And our flight was like still 10 or 11 hours later.
So what we were able to do was we were able to call the Delta agent right there and get us on a later flight out of Detroit, because there was no way we were going to make our connection by driving to Detroit. But they got us on a later flight. They actually upgraded us into better seats, and we were able to get to Puerto Rico was where we were going, because we were taking a cruise out of Puerto Rico the next day. So luckily it worked out all fine and dandy.
So that's a strategy to use if you're doing the smaller airports. Is just, and it's funny because I was talking to a friend the other day that they're flying out for a vacation on Monday to an all-inclusive resort in the Caribbean, and they're leaving from local airport. And I was like, "Are you prepared to drive to Toronto just in case the flights are going?" He said, "Yep, I've got that plan ready to go." So that's one of the things you have to kind of coordinate when you're going from a local airport to a bigger hub.
Yeah,
is having the back of your mind, especially if you have a cruise that you spent a lot of money for. Maybe you didn't get the insurance like you should have, and you're like, I've got to get to the cruise. Then you have to have a backup plan. We've
been in situations. Another time when we were trying to go to Puerto Rico, but we were leaving out of the Toronto airport. Our flight was canceled there too. But the advantage of it being canceled in Toronto was there's a lot more other flights. And so we were originally booked, I believe it was Air Canada or Delta, but we ended up getting to Puerto Rico with a United Airlines flight. So, sometimes things like that happen. You're able to have a lot more, many more options when you're out of a major airport as opposed to a local one like we were. I see a question here. Someone was asking, were you able to file a claim with your insurance if it was not your choice, if it was your choice not to go?
So that was Warren asking that question. And so the way it worked out with Delta, I'm not sure how or why, because I thought it was going to be a bigger problem than it was. When they couldn't get us out for days and days afterwards, we said, what are our options? And we did say, is there an option to cancel? Will we lose all of our money? We thought because we did have insurance, travel insurance on it.
We did have travel insurance.
We pictured we'd have to go through travel insurance, but Delta actually said, no, we will refund your credit card you used. And they did within a day or something. We had the money back on our credit card for the flights.
Yeah.
So even though we didn't buy the refundable fare, so I'm not sure why Delta did that. Maybe because of the inconvenience.
Because of them, or that maybe, we don't know the logistics of like if they could get us out within 24 hours, would it have been different?
I'm not sure.
Because it was like 4 days they wanted us to wait 4 days before they could guarantee a seat on a plane for us. I don't know if that's why we got it back, but I asked her, I said, well, I was on the phone trying to come up with, we were looking at trying to go into different airports and have, get a rent a car, have people pick us up. We were trying all these different strategies. But anyways, when it came to the point that everything was sort of nothing was aligning to what we could do in a timely manner, I said, can we just cancel and get our money back? And she said, yes, absolutely. I'll process that for you right away. And you should see the credit within 10 days. And I think, like Jerry said, it was within 2 days we saw the credit on our credit card.
And I know that a lot of the big airlines take a lot of heat for how they handle these type of situations. But to be honest, when we were talking to Delta, we were saying, okay, we got other local airports, even ones that Delta doesn't fly out of. And we said, could you book us on one of those instead? And Delta would pay for the flight for the other airline. Right. And they were willing to do that. They just couldn't find a flight anywhere around us that was leaving as well because there were so many cancellations and changes to flights. But I thought that was good of Delta to say, we could get you on another airline. We would, but we can't get you on an airline because nothing's flying. Right. So I thought that was really good. As much as, these big airlines, there's a reputation about, it's hard to get your money back. There's, they did all they could. I really do think it was weather. It wasn't Delta. But it was kind of, it was frustrating, but so we had that canceled.
Yeah. So we weren't going to a cruise, so we didn't have to worry about having our cruise fare canceled. We were just going to visit friends in a warmer climate. Let's leave it at that. So yeah, we didn't have to worry about the cruise fare, but I mean, that is why we have the credit card that we do have, is that it does have cancellations and trip interruption insurance. And we have that. We make sure we book all of our trips with our travel credit card that we have so that we can, if we need to, have that reimbursed. And we did have to deal with that. I think I mentioned earlier in the show when we had a flight canceled out of Fort Lauderdale, and we had to incur hotel and a rental car because we stayed later. Our insurance on our credit card looked after that, so that works out well. That's the advantage of having those cards.
Christina is saying that we jinxed ourselves because we weren't going to vlog our getaway, and that's why our flight got canceled.
It's so true, because literally as we were packing, Jerry's like, should we vlog this little, just do one little video of this, a little escape that we were doing? And we thought about it. We thought, oh yeah, we could make just like a 20-30-minute video of the whole 6-day experience or whatever. And then we said, no, we just want to relax. We want to have a vacation and not worry about it and not have to pay for checked luggage, because if we didn't have our camera gear, then we can just do carry on each. And so we thought we were being very smart about it, and we jinxed ourselves. I agree.
Warren wants to know what travel card we use. So in Canada here, we use the Canadian version of the American Express Platinum card is what we have.
That's right.
It has a fairly high annual fee. Yes. But we feel that what we get back in it, as far as lounge access, insurance coverage, there's all kinds of
discounts at hotels and stuff like that.
Different. Yeah, we have higher categories. Like we can go to a Hilton, for example, and have early check-in automatically or get an upgrade automatically because of the card. So we have enough perks that we feel it's worth our while to do the American Express. Yeah. Yeah. And it also allows us that we don't have to worry about purchasing extra insurance every time we book part of our holiday. So when we get those prompts that say, do you want to add insurance? Do you want to add insurance? We know by using our card, we automatically have the insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a comment from Sheila from Ottawa saying that she had a flight canceled last February, the day that there was plane overturned in Toronto. That came from Minnesota, I remember there. Yes. Yeah, preceded by days of heavy snow, flight delayed multiple times before canceling. Yeah. One of the tricks, I don't know if you've seen the video that we put out last week, but it shows we have a little website called FlightAware that we like using because we have used it several times successfully where we know there's going to be a flight delay before the person at the gate does, which sounds strange, but we can see that the planes aren't making the connections that are on the way to come get us. And so we start automatically scrambling and adjusting for that and coming up with a plan because we know that we're going to hear it eventually over the PA or up on the board. And we're going to find out the same time. We want to know before everyone else so we can make a change before everybody's trying to scramble to a new flight. Yeah,
so that's worked successfully for us. One time we were cruising out of New Orleans and back, and on our way back, our flight from New Orleans to Atlanta got canceled. So we were following, and we knew it wasn't coming. We could tell that it wasn't coming. And before it got canceled, I went up to the lady and I said, "Is there any chance you can change us from the flight going to Atlanta so that we can go to New York and then get our connection from there?" And we were like the first ones to get a different flight and get out of there before hundreds of people stood in line, because they all realized around 15-20 minutes after us that there was no plane coming.
Yeah, yeah. So it does help you, or you can just anticipate delays. And when everyone else is rushing to get to the terminal, you're like, it's going to be half an hour still, and you stay in the lounge and you relax because you're using the platinum card that we have to get in the lounge. So, and it does also include medical coverage as well.
It does.
So that's nice that we have the medical and the trip insurance. It's got everything that you'd want.
Knock on wood, we've never had to use it, and we hope it stays that way. But it's nice to know you have it.
It also has the rental car insurance as well.
Yeah, so Paul and Wander just asked about, does it include good medical insurance? It does, but it's a limited time. So if you're on a longer trip, so if we go longer than 14 days, we have to pay for extra days. So I just call Amex and add it on. Now, I think the length that you're covered for how many days out of the country, don't quote me, I don't work for Amex, although I do see we do have somebody here that does. But I think it changes on how old you are. But because Jerry and I are both under the 65-year-old mark, we're covered for 14 days.
Yep. And when you extend the coverage past the amount that comes normally with the card, then the coverage is fairly affordable. Like we've added a week or two at times, and it's always been under like $100 for that extra coverage. So it is very, very affordable to extend the coverage through American Express. So
we didn't realize we were doing a commercial for Amex. This isn't what the show's about, but it is one of the strategies that helps us to be successful at traveling.
Yep.
And I mean, there are other great travel cards out there. We know that we have some American friends that have different ones that aren't offered in Canada, but there are some other ones in Canada that are pretty good too.
We used to have a travel visa as well with our bank, and it had some coverage as well. It didn't have all the perks like the lounges and hotel perks that Amex has.
No, but it did give us some travel insurance.
Yeah, so we don't leave home without it.
There you go.
Oh, but
a little 30-second plug for Amex, or
I'm just seeing there was another question there. I just wanted to. I'm just trying to see what was going on here with some comments here. What about our cruise fare, Warren saying? So this wasn't for a cruise?
I already answered that.
So that was good. Able to rebook Florida Airport. So that's another interesting strategy as well, is if things are getting crazy haywire, don't be set on your destination. Say, I was going to Fort Lauderdale. You need to get me to Fort Lauderdale. Because just say, hey, can I get into Miami? That might change the game real fast and get in. Heck, we've even flown into Jacksonville and rented a car and driven to Miami.
It's true. We've done that too.
When you get desperate, flexibility becomes the name of the game. That's for sure.
And when you've got a timeline of trying to get for a cruise, so this is the other strategy that we do with our the whole point of cancellations. We know we live in an area where this is likely to happen or possible to happen, although we've had really good luck up till now. But like we said at the beginning of the show, we are planning on flying in to Florida for our next group cruise 3 days early, because if there is an issue the day we're scheduled to leave, we're hoping that gives us enough timeline that they can get us on another flight and we'll still have time to be there. And if we get there on time, that's just an extra bonus. We get to have lots of fun in the sun before we get on the ship. But you need to give yourself a little bit of a buffer when you're traveling from snowy weather of Canada in the winter.
I see a question asking if we've ever filed a claim with Amex and how to do. So Amex goes through another third party for their insurance coverages, and so you end up dealing with the third party. It was like dealing with any normal insurance company, really. Even one that you would pay for, it's the same idea. And we haven't had any problems at all. I don't think that we've done anything that we thought we deserved money back for that we didn't get covered. So
right.
Yeah. And a lot of times if you use it for rental cars, we have found in the past that those type of travel cards, they work seamlessly. Like we had an issue with a car one time. It's like, well, we used our back then it was a different travel card, and it just automatically happened in the background. It got fixed and we didn't have to deal anything with it. It was really good.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you a peace of mind when you're out doing that. So
yeah.
And I see someone, Gary's asking if we have any sponsors for Journey of the Secret Word. You missed that in the blogs. And I'm hoping we have a contact on here from American Express.
Yeah, maybe American Express would like to sponsor it. That's funny. So Gary, it's a good question to ask. We've been working in the background and we've approached a few companies that have reached out to us wanting us to go into collaboration with them in some things. And we keep presenting Journey to the Secret Word as a great way to collaborate with us. And every time we present it, we hear crickets. They don't respond back.
Well, it's not because it's not that they don't like the idea and the exposure they would get. I think the problem is a lot of people that come to us and want sponsorship, what they want us to do to you is they want us to make a 5-minute video talking about their product and giving you a review. Well, we're not really that channel. We go on trips. We show you what it's like to get on a cruise and travel by airplane and navigate hotels. We're not really hey, today's show is brought to you by vitamins, you know?
Yeah, we really loved when Level 8 sponsored the Journey to the Secret Word. That, you know, we use Level 8 luggage. We still do, even though they're not our sponsor, because we still believe they're a great product. But we didn't sit in front of the camera and do a 2-minute commercial to you guys about it. We just used it, and you knew we used it. And they were, positive enough in their product that they gave it away to other people to try. And a lot of people that have won Journey to the Secret Word has messaged us and said they've gone out and bought a full, complete set of it. So it works for the companies. But anyways, yeah. And we did reach out to Crown Royal to see if they would sponsor us too. And they said, no, thank you. They did respond, they said, no, thank you.
They know we're going to keep using the product, whether they sponsor us or not.
Yeah, they know he's going to drink it regardless. Yeah.
Bruce is saying that often to claim on an insurance, you need to be able to show that you're flexible in solving the problem, which is, true. You can't just say, oh, well, I'm not worried about this. Insurance is going to cover it. You have to have, I think, some proof that there was no option around it, basically. Yeah.
True.
And I think that with flights, I think when we talk strategies, we said we're going to try to give up, what our plans or ideas are. One thing that we do a lot of to help with cancellations is that we try to avoid booking the last flight going out the night before a cruise. Mm-hmm. So if we're going down to Detroit and there's a 10 o'clock at night flight, we could get in and get it really inexpensively and get in at midnight, and then we'll be there in time for tomorrow's cruise. We're also in the back of our head thinking, if that gets canceled, we've got to wait till the next day for them to squeeze us onto a plane, which is the day the cruise ship's leaving. Yeah. So we'll do the 7 o'clock or the 9 o'clock or whatever it takes to not have to be the last flight out of an airport, because we know if we get canceled, we might still get bumped to a later flight and still get there on time.
Absolutely.
So we always avoid late night flights the night before a cruise if you're doing the night before type of thing.
That's true.
And we definitely got to the point where we avoid same day flying to a cruise. We're not comfortable enough that that's going to work for us anymore.
We did that once or twice when we were younger and braver, but in saying that, we only ever did it when we were cruising in the summer. So we did it in July and August, I think, a couple of times when Jerry was new in the company and the vacation days were minimal, and so you're not risking bad weather so much doing it that time of year. Baylor Girl has a question about the coverage. In order to get the insurance coverage with a credit card, your trip does have to be paid in full with that.
I believe so, yeah.
That is the case.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking something else came to mind about the strategy we've used, and I just forgot it. So
okay,
maybe it'll come back to me. But yeah, that's what it was. It reminded me of the comment that came in about the 35-night cruise out of San Diego that Christine said. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that a lot of people aren't aware of is if there's a storm coming, and I see this in Canada all the time, sometimes in the northern states, that if there's a storm coming and the airline knows that it's being predicted and it's only a couple of days away, they will allow you to start changing your flight before they have to cancel or change it for you. Mm-hmm. We've seen that where they say, okay, if you can find alternative arrangements or travel earlier than you were planning on it, then we'll get you on a flight earlier and get you ahead of the storm or get you after the storm. Yeah. So keep that in mind, that if there is weather coming, don't just sit there and say, oh, I hope it's not me. Be a little proactive and say, hey, can I change this flight?
Especially if there's been alerts made out, right?
Yeah. So you can do that.
I know that that happened to a family member just flying domestically in Canada, that they were able to call Air Canada and say, we have this flight come on this date, but they're predicting a huge storm in Toronto. Can I go out the day before? And they were able to fly out the day before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Peggy's saying that she had a cruise got canceled due to COVID. Didn't get a refund. They were sailing and gave us a lot of freebies because it was 2 years later. So yeah, after all that, there was a lot of people with cruise credits and trying to make them work, and all different cruise lines did it different ways. So
yeah, really depended on the cruise line. I would say the first 6 months of COVID, all you did was deal with cancellations and getting things over. And it may have been even the whole first year before it was all settled.
I think with the cruise lines, you have to be careful of what cruise line you're booking with, only because some are a little bit better than others when it comes to dealing with cancellations and changes to itineraries and refunds and perks. Like we had an amazing experience with the Island Princess when we had the inconvenience of the hurricane and we're stuck in New York Harbor. We thought it was an amazing deal. They gave us a couple $1,000s worth of credit for a future cruise.
25% of what we paid was what they gave us.
More than we thought was fair, and we were very grateful
plus
for that.
Plus an onboard credit, plus. They really did look after us.
Whereas we heard about another cruise line that was having a problem with the same situation. They didn't get offered anything near what we got offered. So it was a totally different offer from a different cruise line that we thought wasn't as good a deal at all. So
yeah. And we found during COVID, when COVID happened, we had cruises booked with Carnival, Norwegian, Princess too, maybe, and each company sort of dealt differently as to how they dealt with the cancellations and the money back and all of that. And I will say Carnival was the easiest one to deal with. They were wonderful at that point.
Yeah, we had challenges with Norwegian, if I'm being honest.
We really did. With Norwegian, there was challenges.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Warren is saying there's another thing that I know we have family members that have done this as well, is they have third-party insurance that's in like an annual plan for a certain amount of travel per year.
And that's really good for health insurance, especially if you cruise or travel out of country frequently, for sure. Yep. It's a good thing to have.
So we've kind of beaten up flights for quite a bit now. So the cancellation we had this morning.
Oh, let's talk about that.
That we didn't see coming is we had a cancellation for a hotel, Airbnb, whatever you describe it. We had a reservation in Italy.
We had a reservation in Italy, in Florence, and we had booked it through a very popular website through, I believe it was Expedia or Bookings.com.
Bookings.com.
Or one of those. Anyways, but we received a message from the host of it, not from the actual company, saying that they've canceled our reservation due to maintenance issues. And so here we are now, left scrambling.
It's 4 months out. It makes me wonder what they can't fix in 4 months.
Right. And we had booked this months ago, so the price was very reasonable. And now, as we're looking today, the prices for all the hotels or other places to stay have gone up considerably. So this was something that's was pretty upsetting to us today. We will get our money back from them, but we're going to have to pay more to stay there that night. Now, this we had booked through Bookings.com, but it wasn't a hotel. It was sort of like an Airbnb, but it was advertised on Bookings.com. No? Am I wrong? Yeah. Oh, okay. It looked like you were shaking your head. No.
It's just I'm not a fan of that type of booking.
So we're starting to really reconsider the whole idea of booking not traditional hotels, because this now has happened to us, but we also know it's happened to a number of other people. We have close friends that it happened to them when they were at their airport on their way to Florida, and they had booked an Airbnb the night before getting on a cruise, and they were at the airport about to board their plane when they got a email from the host of the Airbnb saying that their vacation rental for the night had been canceled, and here they were scrambling trying to figure out how to get a last minute hotel reservation. So that's another thing to look at when you're looking at these not traditional hotels, that they seem to be prone, in our experience from what we're hearing, that they tend to do this a little bit more frequently. And so you're stuck paying more or scrambling to figure out what to do. I know, friends of ours were joking that I guess we're just going to sleep in the airport all night. But, seriously, that's not what you want to be dealing with when you're trying to start your vacation. So that's upsetting.
Yeah, I see a couple of comments questioning the validity of the cancellation for us, and kind of crossed our mind as well. Mm-hmm. And we've also talked to people that have been kind of inside, knowing folks that have worked in the Airbnb world and seen how that works from the inside. And we have heard that if they can get a booking for, say, like a week booking instead of just booking it night by night, and they can pull that off, they can get rid of a single booking to book a whole week. They will do that, and you'll be canceled when you're hoping to stay one night.
Yeah, so I think what Baylor Girl and Warren is saying too. It sounds like they canceled us because they know they could rebook and get more money. I think you're probably right. That's probably exactly what's going on. So now we're looking at not staying at the sort of, it was a gorgeous looking 2-bedroom apartment that we thought was going to be beautiful, great location. But now we're looking at staying at a more traditional hotel and hoping that doesn't get canceled on us.
So that kind of comes up in my brain as maybe another tactic to use. That if you want to make sure that you're going to get a place to stay, sticking with the more traditional hotels and chains and places that are not just people renting out space or renting out a apartment might be a better strategy if you don't want to be canceled and run into what we just ran into and what other people have been running into.
Another one that we've run into, which is really weird, at least we think it's weird. It's only ever happened to us once, but we had a reservation for a car one time, and we get to the airport after we flew into Florida, and they said, "Oh, we're sorry, we have no cars left." We kind of felt like, if you're a Seinfeld fan, you'll know that there's an episode that Jerry does on Seinfeld that that sort of mocks this whole thing. But it's true. I felt like I was living in this episode of Seinfeld, because we're like, what do you mean you don't have a car? We made a reservation 3 months ago. We have the confirmation right here, the email. It tells us, what type of car it will be or similar. You have no cars whatsoever. So again, you've got to be flexible.
As Seinfeld says, you know how to take the reservation. You don't know how to hold the reservation is the problem, right?
And I think with more and more people traveling right now, post-COVID, and traveling is at a high level right now, more and more people are doing it. So the demands for all these things that we require when we travel, like Airbnbs, hotels, airplanes, cruise ships, and rental cars, then stuff like this can happen. I don't know. I've also heard of people getting on cruise ships and not having a room assigned to them yet because they just put us anywhere and they're waiting for somebody to cancel and they don't have a room. So it's crazy what's going on with travel right now.
It's funny because Ruth brings up a good point there. She's talking about maybe you should book 2 places with an option to cancel. And that kind of went through my brain today because I was thinking, you know what, if the places that are doing the rentals are going to play games with the people that are trying to book rooms, then maybe we need to play games back and we need to book multiple places and be planning on canceling on them last minute because we want to stay with the one that is our first choice, right? And I don't really want to play games, but it would give you another layer of insurance of having a place to stay. We don't have that option because we didn't book 2 places.
Yeah, no, I never thought of that, Ruth, before, but now I will be thinking about that because you're right. If we'd made 2 reservations, we could have canceled one of them if we had to, like a week or 2 before we went away, type thing. Yeah, wow.
Yep.
That's scary that we think we have to do that, but
it's like booking 2 cruises just in case.
It's a strategy, I guess, because I was, this morning I woke up at 7:00 in the morning. Jerry's like, "Did you see the email?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "We got this email. Our stay has been canceled. We've got to find something." And I go online, and as soon as I opened up my computer and looked at the cost, I went, "Ugh," because it was so much more than what it was when I booked 3 or 4 months ago, whenever it was.
Yeah, Warren is saying that airlines overbook all the time, and there is some strategies there that if you book with lots of spare time ahead of time, and you get in that situation, you may actually put a few dollars in your pocket for a future flight if you're willing to skip later, even just one flight later, or that type of thing. We've seen that quite a bit, and we've even done it a couple of times. So, so that's the advantage of not going last minute and having to be on that specific plane, that you've got that flexibility to make a couple dollars. So that's a good point too. And I've always wondered about cruise ships, whether or not they're overbooking cruise ships or not. We ran into a situation, we were on Carnival Cruise, and they were going to change our cabin, but they said they had no cabins available for the next leg that we were going. It was a true back-to-back.
It was a true back-to-back.
And we thought it was kind of odd, thinking, how do they not know on the next cruise if they've got cabins available? That seems really strange to me. But they literally were waiting to see if everybody showed up that was supposed to show up and if they were going to have spare cabins. And the day of, they said, "Oh, guess what? We do have a cabin available now."
It wasn't until we sailed away, because they told me to go when on the embarkation day, the transfer day for us, and check and see whether they had a cabin available. So I went at like lunchtime, and they said, "We don't know yet. Come back after dinner," because we sailed away at 5:30. And so when I went back after dinner, they're like, "We have a cabin for you. We can change your cabin," because somebody didn't get on the ship. It was very, very last minute.
Yep. So those are the strategies. But I guess if you wanted to be super protected, you would book insurance on everything, and we kind of do by using our credit cards. That gives us that level of protection, but it doesn't make it any easier, as we found out we were canceled outright and couldn't go on the trip. So I would hate to actually miss a cruise. I think that'd be the worst case situation, is you miss a cruise because you can't get there on a flight. Yeah,
as much as we were devastated to miss New Year's, because we had booked this trip probably 6 months ago, had a whole bunch of friends that were meeting with us. We thought we were going to have a fabulous New Year's. And then we didn't get to go. And then, we just missed out on the fun and watched everybody else have a wonderful time and felt really sorry for ourselves. That's really how it happened.
Yeah, we stayed home and it looks like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of being on the beach.
Instead of being on the beach, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, but I guess the big thing is to build buffers into your plans, is I guess what we're saying. Don't be so perfectly planned right to the minute. Because I run into people all the time that still to this day, they come up to me saying, "I got a cruise. I can get a flight out at like 5:00 in the morning, and I can be there by 10, and I should be able to get on the ship by 11, right?" And I'm like, "Don't do it. Please don't."
I our own daughter just sort of asked us something like that. She's going on a cruise in a few months, and she's still trying to book her flight to get there. She has a return flight, but not her flight to get there. And she's like, "What about this flight? What do you think? Do you think this is good?" I'm like, "I wouldn't do it. That is cutting it short." I'm like, give yourself extra time, especially leaving Canada in the winter, right?
Yeah.
Go a day earlier.
Yeah. And I think another strategy, like I hear people booking cruises all the way out when they first get announced, like 3 years out, they're booking cruises, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that usually get like big cancellations of like lots of ships at a time and are repositioning fleets and stuff are usually those ones that are 3 years out. So just kind of be prepared in the back of your mind that you might be one of those ones that get shuffled. I know Norwegian shuffled a lot of long cruises out and they've changed where their fleet's going to be. And if Princess is talking about moving around ships because of immediate demands, you'd have to imagine they've got to change some itineraries. So yeah.
I'm hoping they take some cruise ships out of Alaska and move them to Europe, everyone. There's too many in Alaska, in my opinion. Let's put them over in Europe. Yeah.
And I guess cruise ships are really good at avoiding the parts of the world that they'd have to cancel. Like a cruise line, I don't think wants to cancel a cruise outright.
No.
They have too much to gain from people being on board, buying excursions, buying drinks, going to the casino, all that stuff that we do on cruise ships.
Mm-hmm.
That they don't want to cancel one outright. Odds are they'll change an itinerary this day and age, but like unless something like COVID pops up, they're not going to be canceling huge amounts of, or they're doing changing fleet positions years down the road. But like we're pretty confident that that we're not going to see that. But flights get canceled, hotels obviously get canceled.
Yeah.
Although I've never had Hilton call me up and say that you're canceled.
It's true. It's true. So as you guys all know, Jerry books all the cruises, and then generally he gets the cruises booked and he says, "Okay, pick what hotel you want to stay at." And we do generally like to stay at Hilton because we have a rewards card with them, and it sort of works well for us. But that's hard to do in certain parts of Europe. So we're booking with places that we have never used before, and this is the consequences of what happened.
Christine is saying that in January they're flying out of London to Toronto and on to Barbados. The night before their London flight, it was canceled. We had to scramble to shuttle to Toronto and a hotel room, and Air Canada did not reimburse. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. That's what we did that, drove to Detroit ourselves instead of taking the flight there. That one cancellation we had, we thought it was kind of funny because they tried to figure out how much that leg was worth that they should give us back because we didn't do the Detroit. And usually for us, the most expensive leg is that little airplane to get to the big airport. And the big airport flights are much cheaper.
Yeah.
But when they do back and they reimburse you, they think the other way around, unfortunately.
They just give you peanuts. Like it barely costs. It barely covered what the four of us, because there was four of us, what they reimbursed us. And they didn't reimburse us. They just gave us future flight credits was what it was. But what they gave us in future flight credits barely equaled out to what the gas expense was and what the parking for the trip was.
Definitely what they gave us back was not what we would pay to do that flight again. That's for sure.
No, there's no way you'd be able to book it for that cheap ever. Yeah.
Yeah. But and then like I said, rental cars are kind of an odd one. We've had that too. I'm trying to think if there's anything we've had that we haven't had canceled or modified in some way. But one trick to also know about.
Well, we've also had like pre-excursions booked that were canceled. So we had booked a riverboat jungle event in Fort Lauderdale prior to a group cruise one time, and we got an email the day we were supposed to be going saying that excursion or that dinner cruise thing that we booked was canceled, and that was like literally the day or two before we were scheduled to go on it. Everything gets canceled.
We also know of friends of ours that are traveling with us on the group cruise that they had an excursion canceled. So there's an example of even an excursion on a cruise coming up that gets canceled when the cruise is still going.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say sometimes if an excursion, if it doesn't have a certain number of people booked on it, they'll cancel it. That's happened to us in the past. Sometimes you can rebook into something different.
And that's really, really unfair, I feel, because you know all these excursions these days, they seem to be booking up much more than they ever did. So the odds are of you getting another excursion that you actually want is probably really slim compared to if back the time you booked it. So it's a little bit unfair when they cancel you last minute because they couldn't sell it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should do like Azamara, just have a smaller group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had some wonderful experiences on boats that held 90 people. We were doing excursions with like 30 people, and what a wonderful experience. You'll see that in the vlogs. It was an amazing thing.
Yeah, it was one of our favorite things about Azamara, and we don't know if we just lucked into booking not popular excursions and they let it go, or if this is how Azamara does it always. But we were on very large catamarans that were at probably 30% capacity, so it was beautiful. Yeah.
I see Christine saying that they sent shuttle receipt, hotel charges, and reimbursed it because it was due to mechanical. And I guess that's, if you're not aware, that's one of the big things is if it's mechanical, it's automatic that they're going to start covering things for you, whether it's hotels, flights, meal vouchers, all that stuff. They're going to take care of you. Mm-hmm. If it's weather, they're going to say, sorry, that's luck of the draw. They're less likely to give you everything back that cost you extra. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And hi, Jill and Jerry Bruno. Missed the live. Have to catch up later. So we didn't miss it completely, but we are getting close to the end here.
Hi, Pauline and Kevin. Thanks for joining in.
But cancellations are a necessary evil of traveling these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But the biggest piece of advice I can give anybody is when you're dealing with a cancellation, try your best to be kind and pleasant to the poor person that is trying to help rebook you or deal with it. It's not their fault. The Delta agent that I had on the phone that tried her hardest to get us to where we were wanting to go. And she kept saying, I'm so sorry this is happening to you. And I said, hey, it's not your fault. You don't have anything to apologize. I'm just, speaking to you to see if there's anything, any other way that we can make this work. Me getting upset and yelling at her or being frustrated with her is not going to all of a sudden magically make something happen. She tried her hardest, and just be kind to people, because working in customer service is hard, and often that kindness pays off. We have found that when we've dealt with stuff like that, there's been times where us just being kind and say, we understand this isn't your problem, they sort of go a little above and beyond and try their hardest to do whatever they can to help. Yelling at the poor people that are just employees but not making the decisions in these matters is never going to help.
Okay, so we'll call it there. We're after the hour.
All right.
Yeah, and we are back again next week, and we'll be back talking about group cruise because we're going on one right after next week.
We are.
We're also kind of putting out feelers about future group cruises, so maybe we'll have an announcement or at least a discussion about what the next group cruise looks like that we've been talking about forever for a 2027 group cruise. And if you're on our Facebook group, you'll see that we've been discussing it a little bit further now.
Well, when we thought we had a cruise booked, Norwegian changed the itinerary and the cruise is no longer available. So that put us back. They canceled it before we even got it booked. So we're kind of glad we didn't go through all the work of getting a whole bunch of you booked just to have to cancel you. So anyways, it drew us back to the drawing board. And so we're looking at something a little bit different. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so have a good week. Hopefully you have good weather.
Yes.
Warm.
And safe travels without any travel interruptions.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Not just safe travels, but with cancel-free travel for sure.
Exactly. Have a great week, everybody. And please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a lot.
Okay. Take care. Talk to you next week.
Bye for now.